welcome back to another video. This really popped when I saw it. That to me is a monster increase. Again, this book got hot. This book is ready to go higher.
So let's jump right into it.
We are back today with another statue review from Diamond Select Toys. Without further ado, let's get into the review. And we are back. What is going on, YouTube? This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and I want to thank you guys for joining me for another video here on the channel. Today, of course, we have another eBay sales video where I check out the recent sales for comics over the past week or so. But before we get started in the video, I want to remind you guys, like always, if you're not a current sub of the channel, you guys are definitely missing out. Click that sub button. For me, I want you to smash that like button because it really helps the algorithm out. And of course, if you're not following me on Instagram or Twitter, definitely click the links below. With that said, let's check out some of the best sales on eBay this week. So we're going to start off with this Bronze Age banger. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 194 in a CGC 9.8 with white pages. You guys know what it is, the first appearance of the Black Cat, Felicia Hardy. Now this sale happened on February 3rd for a whopping $2,975. So I want to give you a little bit of an inkling on how I'm thinking right now. All these CGC 9.8 of these Bronze Age keys that were submitted for that reholder scam, all these books that are selling right now are still making me nervous. Okay, so I'm not going out and buying these books actively because I want to make sure that my book that I'm getting, if I'm buying it, is 100% legit. So let's look at this book for a second. You could see that the wrap on this book is not exactly the greatest, and we do know a lot of these Bronze Age keys, there are a ton of copies out there. So I'm spending this amount of money on a comic book. I'm making sure it's the best possible grade that I can buy. But with that said, let's check out the GPA data, and you can see the last sale for this book was $2,763 this month according to GPA. So this person a little bit overpaid for this one. I'm not too sure why. The 90-day average for this one was $2,721 on 8 sales. The 12-month rolling average $2,906 on 27 sales. In 2023, the average is $2,999. But check out 2022, guys. The average is all the way about $4,368. So if you didn't know this, guys, the price for a newsstand and a direct issue for this book is actually roughly about the same, which I really don't understand because I know people out there go crazy for newsstands. Regardless, from what I've heard, the direct edition is a little bit rare. Maybe that's why it doesn't affect the price too much. But either way, I think someone overpaid just a tad for this book to have it in their collection. Another book that I absolutely love, but I think has been tarnished because of this reholder scandal, is this one. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 252. We all know what it is, the first appearance of the black symbiote costume in the ASM run. Now this copy is a CGC 9.8, a white pager with this special Secret Wars Marvel label, which I absolutely love, and I think it looks awesome on this book. But let's look a little closer at this one, okay? In the top left-hand corner of the book, you can see it plain as clear. There is a dent, an indentation in that top left-hand corner. Now we all know you still can get a 9.8 with one thing wrong with the book. Hell, they are saying now you can even get a 9.9, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. But let's also check out the bottom left-hand corner. We're seeing the same ding right there. I don't know if this could have happened inside the case. Regardless, I don't think this book is a 9.8 either way. It's hard to find some of the other flaws or some of the pictures that this person posted, but either way, are you paying up $1,249 for this book? I'm not too sure. Let's check out the GPA results. So the last sale on a 9.8 in GPA was $1,320 just this month. So this person got maybe about an $80 discount. The 90-day average for this one, $1,332 on 11 sales. The 12-month rolling average, $1,489 on 38 sales. And in 2023, the average was $1,535. Way back in 2022, the average is $1,748. So the dip is not too bad in this one. But again, you really have to be studying these books in a whole right now if they are CGC graded. For some of these books that I think issues that were reholdered by this person, you have to be really careful. And this one, to me, I would not have purchased just for that fact. Up next, let's go back to the Bronze Age and talk about this book right here. This one caught my eye when I saw the selling price. Either way, we have a giant size X-Men 1 that was from Mexico, but not only that, it is a CGC 7.0 with the old case signed by the great Stan Lee. Now, the reason why this caught my attention was because of the colors of this book. First and foremost, every time I look at a giant size X-Men 1, that is the first thing that I look at, the absolute colors. And this book is freaking beautiful. However, it does have some issues going on with it. First, I'm going to show you this picture right here. The case is actually cracked, but right now, of course, with the holder scandal, you have to be very careful what's going on in the books that you're buying, especially in old cases, okay? So check out also the bottom of this book. You can see right here, there is some damage to the bottom portion of the book. Still could be a 7.0 in my opinion if the rest of the book looks pretty good. But now let's go out and check the top of this book. At the top, across the Marvel Comics Group logo, you can see there looks to be some sort of tape pull that is at the top of this book. Again, the damages that has been done, could this possibly still be a 7.0? Yes, but either way, you got to be super skeptical right now with everything going on. This book was listed for $3,200 and actually ended up selling for $2,800. So let's check out the GPA. You can see the last sale has been recorded for a Signature Series 7.0 by Stan Lee for this $2,800 copy. Believe it or not, 90-day average, same thing, $2,800 is only one of these sold. The 12-month rolling average, $3,527 on 4 sales. In 2023, the average was $3,769. But the thing that sticks out to me right now is the rarity of this book and a 7.0 signed by Stan Lee. Over the past year or 2 years, you're looking at about 4 to possibly 7 copies that sold of this book. So are you taking a chance on this book? You guys tell me. With the tape pull, with the cracked case, for $2,800, this book does present pretty well color-wise. So I want to hear what you guys think. To me, I think somebody gambled on this book, and it might have been a good gamble, but there is a small possibility that this book is not a 7.0. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let's head on over to the Silver Age and talk about one of the most undervalued Silver Age books there is. Here we have a copy of Showcase 22 in a CGC 3.0 with off-white pages, the first appearance of Hal Jordan as the new Green Lantern. Now, a lot of people out there believe that this is the definitive Green Lantern book, at least from the Silver Age on. Green Lantern of the Golden Age was a totally different Green Lantern. Regardless, guys, this book was listed for $2,500 and actually ended up selling on February 1st for $2,425. So not bad. $75 off asking is pretty good in my opinion if you are a seller. Regardless, let's go out and check GPA and see what the value of this book is. The last sale according to GPA was $2,400 just this month. Of course, I did some digging and there was a $2,400 sale that occurred literally 2 days after this one. The 90-day average was $2,413 on just 2 sales. The 12-month rolling average, $2,844 on 8 sales. In 2023, the average was $3,092. And way back in 2022, $3,884. So I wonder why this book has really taken a hit with the DC universe starting to come on. I really don't get it. Again, this book has been undervalued forever, just like Showcase 4, the first Silver Age appearance of Barry Allen as the new Flash. Regardless, guys, I'm not too sure what's going on. Are you a buyer of this book? I always try to get a deal. If I'm going to buy this book, I know a lot of people still have raw copies available. That's really what I would like. But if you're more comfortable buying slabs, this one may be the way to go, especially once we get the new Hal Jordan in the DCU. I know we're going to get a Guy Gardner because that's already been announced, but eventually Hal Jordan has to show up. Up next, let's talk about a classic cover by a classic artist. We have an Incredible Hulk number 340 signed by the great Todd McFarlane. Now, you guys know a year ago they had that awesome signing over at CGC where everybody sent their Hulk 340s in to be signed. So there are a lot of copies out there of this one. And of course, you got that special Todd McFarlane label on it. Now here we have a copy of a 340 CGC 9.2 Signature Series signed by the great Todd Father, listed for $550, but actually ended up selling for only $425 on February 1st. Now, like I said before, guys, this book is a dime a dozen, and now with everybody sending their copy in, this book has also become a dime a dozen. But I say, I picked this book because it was a 9 9.2, and I currently have a 9.2 ASM 300 signed by Todd McFarlane. So I was definitely interested in this one for the price. So let's see what GPA says. The last sale, according to GPA, was at $425. We just talked about this copy right here. The 90-day average, $400 on just 3 sales. 12-month rolling average, $356 on 10 sales. In 2023, the average is $393 on 14 sales, and in way back in 2022, the average is $485. So again, this book is pretty much holding their own with Todd's signature on it, even though there's so many freaking copies of this book, and with the signature now included as well. So pretty steady, still coming down a little bit, but again, is the value there? And that's what we're talking about right now in comic collecting, is value, what you should be paying for a book, if it's worth it or not. So with the copies out there, I want to hear from you guys out in the community. Are you buying this one for $400? Let me know your thoughts. So let's head back to the Bronze Age now, because I'm seeing a lot of Bronze Age keys starting to pick up a little bit, maybe because there are a lot for sale. Regardless, here we have a copy of Marvel Spotlight number 5 in a CGC 6.0. Of course, this one is an old label again. This is, of course, the first appearance of the Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze. Now, they were asking $900 for this book, and it actually ended up selling on February 9th for $850. But if you take a closer look at this book, I actually do think this one might be worth it. So again, an old label 6.0. Looks pretty good. The colors are not really where I want it for a Marvel Spotlight 5. Again, another book where I compare it to the Bronze Age. The colors have to be bright and vibrant in order for me to buy it. Regardless, let's go check out the GPA data. You can see the last sale has already been recorded at $850. The 90-day average, $1,061 on just 9 sales. The 12-month rolling average up at $1,200 on 36 sales. In 2023, the average is $1,250 on a whopping 34 sales, and in 2022 all the way back at $2,061. So again, I talked about value on my last video about books that I was picking up. This one has come down about 60% from the high in this 6.0 grade. Are you buying this book? I actually would think about personally picking one up in higher grade with better colors, because right now I think Bronze Age books you can have for a steal as they continue to come down in price. All right, so let's talk about one of the raw books of the week, and something that I really want to make clear to everyone out there who watches my videos. So take a look at this book. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 15. It is a qualified VG 4.0 according to the seller. It is missing an ad page, but they're calling it a grade of a VG, which to me, it actually looks pretty spot on. It does have a little bit of a sub crease there, but they were asking $550, and it actually ended up selling for that $550. It sold on February 4th. Of course, the buyer was offering free shipping as well, but let's go check out the GPA data. But guys, I'm not going to pull qualified data. Let's go ahead and pull a CGC 4.0 Blue Label complete data from GPA. And guess what? We're going to take a look and see that the last sale for a complete copy of this book only sold for $749 just this month. So I want to ask you guys a question. Are you willing to pay up another $200 or possibly even less to get a CGC graded 4.0 Blue Label? Are you going to spend $550 on a qualified raw copy of this book? To me, this sale did not make sense. Maybe the person didn't see that this book was qualified. Maybe they don't know what qualified means. I have no idea. Regardless, I always say, especially if you're going to buy silver and above, you got to buy complete books, especially on something like this where you can get it for a better deal. The 90-day average for a 4.0 all the way up at $705, so even $50 less on 5 sales. The 12-month rolling average, $764. 2023, the average is $789. Way back in 2022, $1,267. I will say this, over the past year plus, this book has been pretty steady, off only about $40. Now, does that have something to do with the Craven movie coming out? I will say this, that movie looks awful, so I expect this book to drop once that film does hit theaters. But either way, you guys know I'm an Amazing Spider-Man completist. I definitely want to own the book. It's a big key. Love Craven, but spend maybe at $100 to $120 more dollars, you could have a complete copy of this book, and that's always a better buy. So every time this book sells, I just seem to have to talk about it, because here we have a copy of Journey into Mystery number 85 and the first appearance of Loki. Okay, it's also the first appearance of Odin, Asgard, and so on and so forth. Now, look at this book. It is pretty beat to hell. The spine is definitely messed up. There's some tape along the top staple, but I'm going to actually call this book a 1.0. There is also some stress lines totally across the entire book. 1.0 at best, okay, in my opinion. Regardless, guys, this book was listed for $1,000 and actually ended up selling right on for $1,000. So let's go ahead and check out the GPA analysis and see what a CGC graded 1.0 would actually sell for. and this book does not sell often in this grade. So the last sale, believe it or not, was in July of 2023 for only $925. There was no 90-day average for this one, but the 12-month rolling average is, again, $903. And believe it or not, there was only 3 sales over the past year and a half in a 1.0. But 1.0s, while they don't come around often, I have found some copies that definitely look better than this one. And for this person to spend $1,000 on a 1.0 raw copy of this book, the way it looks, I think they significantly overpaid for it. Now, this book definitely has come down in other grades over the past couple of years. I remember right when the Avengers started, this book really shot up quick. And I always kick myself, and I always tell the story. I could have had like a 2.5 for around $500 way back when, and I passed on it because I thought it was too much then. Imagine paying $1,000 for a beat-up copy of this one now when you could have had it for probably $900 or less. All right, so I had to talk about this book because it's been on the Hot 10 Breakdown of the Week for the better part of a year, and everybody was coming at me saying that, why am I dogging this book? I am not dogging this book. What I'm dogging is the price that people are paying for it. So the high sale, I think, was around almost $800 for this book, but check out this sale here. It is a copy of Wolverine #1 from the limited series, classic cover by the great Frank Miller, in a CGC 9.8, white pages, was offered for $715. But guess what, guys? What did it end up selling at? So you guys tell me what your thoughts are. We're going to go into GPA, and you're going to see the last sale for this book was $572. So this book was at a high at a 9.8 of almost $800, and now we have a sale of $572. So the people who are yelling at me to say this book is awesome, I would totally pay that for a 9.8. Guess what? You can still have deals in this book, and that's what I've been saying the entire time because of the amount of copies available, especially in a 9.8. So let's get to the 90-day average. $650 on 58 sales, and you can see all those red arrows on this annotation, all heading downwards. The 12-month rolling average, $670 on 215 sales in the past year in a 9.8. The 2023 average, $676. And in 2022, like I stated before, the high was $797. So again, I'm going to say this to you guys. Are you paying close to $800 for this book? You're probably not. What it's worth at a 9.8 is probably around $500 to $550, and that's exactly what this person paid, so kudos to them. Am I going to buy this copy exactly? No. Look at the spine, right? The wrap is not the greatest, so if I'm going to spend my money on a 9.8 copy of a book where there's a ton of copies out there, it better be freaking perfect, and that's what I try to explain to you guys on the Hot 10 Breakdown of the Week. All right, so let's check out our other raw book of the week, and here we have another ASM book, as a matter of fact. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man #4, the first appearance of the Sandman. Now, you guys know I love early ASM, especially the keys. I cannot get enough of them. Now, this book was actually listed for $1,045, but actually ended up selling for only $700. So I think this person might have got a great deal on this book. Now, if you look at the cover, this to me presents like a 1.8 or a 2.0. So I decided to go ahead and pull a 2.0 data from GPA. Not to mention this book sold on February 5th, so as I'm filming this video about 4 days ago. So the last sale for this book in a CGC graded copy of a 2.0 was back in December for $935. The 90-day average, again, was at $935 because only one copy sold in a 2.0. The 12-month rolling average, $797 on 10 sales. The 2023 average, $834 on just 12 sales. And way back in 2022, $1,080 on 10 sales. So again, $700, almost 30% off the asking price. I think this person did a great deal. So we talk about raws all the time, and if you can grade, and if you're using eBay especially, that people can return books if they spot restoration or spot something wrong with the books. Usually eBay is going to always side with the buyer. So with that said, I think this person did a great job. Congrats to them picking up a nice Silver Age first appearance. I'd be definitely doing the same thing as this person did. So let's go ahead and talk about the villain right now for Marvel and the MCU, Kang the Conqueror. Here we have his first appearance, Avengers #8, in a CGC 4.0 with off-white pages. Was listed for $500. It actually ended up selling on February 4th for only $415, which seems like crazy for how long ago this book was selling for almost $1,000. Either way, we're going to check out the GPA analysis and check out that last sale, and it was only at $392 this month. So this book is still dropping, which to me is boggling my mind. The 90-day average for this one, $400 on 8 sales. 12-month rolling average, $490 on 37 sales. In 2023, $536. And in 2022, look at that price, $983 on 33 sales. So check something out. Roughly a year, we're getting about 30-something sales in a 4.0, which I think is not a bad grade for a Silver Age book. When a book drops this much, we're talking about 60%, roughly around that. And it gets to be affordable and value. I think right around $400 is where this book is going to kind of settle at. So if you're an Avengers and a Kang fan and you want to own this book, now may be the time. But again, we all know the casting issue that's going on surrounding Jonathan Majors and Kang the Conqueror. Are they going to get rid of this character altogether? That may be why this book continues to drop. But either way, a great solid Avengers key and a great first appearance if you're interested in spending around $400 for a mid-grade book. And our last book for this week is this one, and I wanted to talk about it because I'm starting to see this book sell everywhere with these two signatures on it. Here we have a copy of Transformers #1 in a CGC 8.0 signed by the great Peter Cullen and Frank Welker. So if you guys out there don't know who they are the voices of Megatron and Optimus Prime from the old Transformers TV show, the cartoon. So this copy was listed at $500. It's an 8.0, like I said, and it sold on February 8th for only $475. So again, not a bad price. I'm not infatuated with the grade. If I want to own this book, I think I want to own it, and definitely a 9.8. Regardless, if you just want to own the book, I'm totally fine with that. If you're getting these two signatures on the book, you probably just want the nostalgia effect, and I totally hear you. I probably do the same thing. Either way, we're going to jump over to GPA. You can see the last sale for this one was that $475 that was just recorded. The 90-day average, $475 again, but on 2 sales. The 12-month rolling average, $460 on only 3 sales. In 2023 average, $430 on just 1 sale. Wow. In 2022, the average is $475 again. So another book that is really holding its own. But how many copies out there are this one with these two great actors with their signatures on the book? So I'm starting to see a lot more because I know MegaCon, a couple of these guys were over there signing books. So maybe they're starting to post them now that they're out. Regardless, we talk about some of these Copper Age books, late Bronze Age books, a lot of copies out there. What can we do to make them more special? We can get incredible signatures that not everybody has. So I'm starting to like where I see with some of these books. If I'm going to buy a Transformers 1 or possibly a G.I. Joe 1, some of the nostalgia books, maybe we call that DC Presents, the first Masters of the Universe. We're going to throw that in there. Maybe we get some of the classic characters and actors who played some of these characters to actually sign the books, and they become more rare, and that's when I become a buyer. That's it for another eBay sales video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, I want to hear your thoughts on some of the books that I pulled and the prices they sold for. But again, there's a lot of value out there right now, especially for Silver Age books, and you're starting to see some bronze starting to move. But if I'm going to buy bronze or I'm going to buy copper, something has to be special about them in order for me to buy them, right? That Transformers #1 with the double signatures. We had a Hulk 340 with Todd's signature. We know there's a lot of copies available. But let's also talk about that Giant Size X-Men 1 with great colors. Yes, there's some issues going on with the book, but every time I see a Giant Size X-Men 1 with outstanding colors, it makes me think, wow, that book is really worth it, because you don't see it too often, right? The Ghost Rider, Marvel Spotlight 5, the colors weren't great, but it was in an older case. Maybe we could get a bump on that book. So that's what I think people are looking for right now with books where there are a lot of copies out there, right? There's still think silver, there's a lot of value that could be had if you're a silver collector, like Avengers 8 really gotten crushed. The book is going to get to around $350 in a 4.0, which to me, at that point, it's a buy, right? I don't care what's going on in the MCU. For that character to be that cheap in a decent grade, it's got to be a buy. So like always, I want to hear what you guys think down in the comments. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.